This isn't going to be a video about Gooey, but now that I have your attention, I've been making short form content now for almost 4 years. And recently here on YouTube, I hit 700,000 subscribers. So to mark this milestone, I put out a story on my Instagram seeing if anyone wanted to ask me a question. Well, a few people responded, so let's answer some questions. Here's Gooey. And if you don't know, Gooey is a cat that I rescued last year. I've made plenty of videos about her, which you can watch up here. I'll put it up there. I guess I should have organized these questions a bit. So the question that I get asked quite a lot is if I'm living in Korea now or like if I'm back in London. I am living full-time in Korea now. I only went back to London briefly for a job, a brand deal, and I just came straight back. I was only there for like 12 days, but I'm full-time in Korea. Have you thought about creating a cookbook or travel series? The cookbook thing, I've toyed with it quite a few times. The idea of making a cookbook sounds cool and everything, but I don't know if it's really for me. I'm not much of a writer, and something like that will take a long time. And despite the nature of my content, things that take a long time like that, I'm just kind of not into doing. So probably not a cookbook. Travel series, that would be something very fun as long as, I can do it being myself. I don't want to have to put on like a whole character for while I'm traveling. If I was to make a travel series, it would have to be completely on my terms, so I can be like myself. Am I a UK citizen or a Korean citizen? I am a UK citizen. I am half Korean, half English, but I was born in London and I do not have a Korean passport. If I was to have a Korean passport, I would have to do military service. The opportunity did come up when I was younger, but my parents were very against it. I do have a visa to live here, so I'm able to live here like that. And I'm gonna keep my British passport for now. What's your favorite jar/glassware for cheong? I've recently been buying a lot of stuff from one company called Bormioli, and that's these jars, along with the bottles that I use. These bottles that I use for all my sodas as well are from Bormioli because these are pressure safe. These also are kind of like self-burping, so they don't build up too much pressure. If they do, they kind of release. And these are just what's available here in Korea, so that's why I use them. I gotta say, they're pretty cheap as well. One of those bottles probably costs me maybe $2 to $3, so for me, that's good. Have you ever gotten drunk with your own produce? No, I actually haven't, because whenever I make something, I feel like I don't really make enough to get me drunk, or by the time that I've drank enough of it, I'm kind of done drinking it, so I never drink enough to get drunk. So for me, I don't really like drinking one thing too much when I'm drinking alcohol. Have you ever considered taking Gooey out to Seoul? Well, surprise, surprise, I'm in Seoul right now. Gooey is here in Seoul with me. Spending a lot more time in Seoul recently, and every time I'd come up to Seoul, I'd have to take Gooey to one of my friends' places to stay there for a few days, and it started turning into like a week or two. So ultimately, in the end, just decided to bring Gooey up to Seoul. So Gooey is here now. Will you move back to the UK? No plans for it right now. I don't really have any desire to go back to the UK. Maybe just to visit, just because family, friends, all that kind of stuff. But no real desire to move back to the UK at the moment. And to be honest, visiting once, maybe twice a year is more than enough for me to get my fix of the UK. Japan is 100p, but gotta move to the US. I don't know if you think I'm in Japan, but I'm not in Japan. I'm not Japanese. I'm in South Korea, and I'm half South Korean. Girlfriend? Well, all I gotta say is, if you've noticed, I've spent a lot of time in Seoul recently. If you didn't have content creation, what would you be doing? Well, fun fact, before I started doing the content, I was lined up to interview at a bank in London, one of the major banks in London. That, however, fell through because of COVID. The day of my interview, it got cancelled because London started having like 12, 13 cases. And as I was doing up my tie to go to my interview, thing got postponed. And then a week later, I got a call saying the whole thing was cancelled. And that was like a university sort of apprenticeship program, which could have led to a postgraduate job offer, which meant I would have been working at a bank, probably still working at a bank. Who knows if I would have just hated it and just left. But probably be working at a bank if I wasn't doing this. As a British Korean, did you do military service in Korea? No, I did not, because I do not have a Korean passport. Have you ever had an egg tart? Yes, I have. They're tasty. I liked it, but not obsessed. Are you from Thailand? No, I'm not from Thailand. I am half Korean. I'm from England, half Korean. How is baby girl Gooey doing on a scale of 1 to 10? I want to say she's doing a solid 9. Yeah, a solid 9. Have you gone through an identity crisis as a half Korean, half British person? I think I've gone over this in a previous video, Q&A video, because this question has been asked before, but I've got to say that I personally have not. And I want to attribute that to the fact that I've had a good balance of living in South Korea and England growing up. So I spent maybe half my life living in England and then half my life living in Korea, but those have kind of been like mixed in. So it's like a couple years here, a couple years there, and then like middle school and high school came back to Korea, but I did attend foreign school. So everything was sort of in English. I was with a lot of foreign people as well, but living in Korea, and I speak the language as well. So that is a big plus, a big help when you're mixed, if you speak the language. Although I tend to get away with speaking English and then busting out the Korean as if a way to like kind of impress people, but that's kind of like a little like way to get away with things. Recently, my Korean has gotten a lot better. What inspired you to make a kombucha series? Well, we've just been drinking a lot of kombucha lately, and kombucha in Korea can be quite expensive. So just decided like, well, I've made kombucha before a long time ago. So why not just start making it again? You know, I make all this video about fermenting, so why not just make a kombucha series? My goal is basically to make the best kombucha I can, and why not make it into a video series for other people to learn too? How fluent is your Korean? My Korean's decent, pretty decent. I've been getting a lot better at Korean recently, especially with living in Korea. What's your go-to recipe to feed a crowd? If I'm feeding a lot of people, my general go-to, as long as everyone eats meat, is to just buy a big piece of meat, cook that, because that's usually quite a showstopper. People find that pretty cool, and then just general like vegetables and stuff. Keep it fairly simple, especially if you're doing it for a lot of people. As soon as you complicate things, it's like too many things can go wrong. So I keep it very, very simple, but I try to use good quality stuff. And that generally hits really well with people. When will you come to the US? I've been to the US once in 2018. That was West Coast. Did a road trip for like 2 weeks flew into San Francisco, drove through Yosemite, spent a couple nights in Yosemite, then down through Sequoia into Death Valley, and then Vegas to LA, and I spent a few nights in LA and then flew back. And it was really fun, but I don't really have any plans to go back to the US right now. I have a lot of friends there. But I do want to go back, but I just don't have any plans to go back anytime soon. What's your cat's favorite toy? I know exactly what it is. Gooey's favorite toy is this mangled little toy shark that I bought for her when she was a kitten. It's actually a dog toy because you can't really get cat toys in Korea that are just little stuffed animals like this. I think I wanted to get something like this because it's just a little bit softer, and she loves to play fetch with this thing. She is very good at playing fetch. There she is. Come here. Are you gonna block the camera? Any big projects or plans for this upcoming year? Not really. I don't really plan like that. I kind of just do what comes. And right now, the big thing I'm doing right now is just the kombucha. There is a big plan to try and go into more YouTube videos now, and to cut down a little bit on the short videos, but to do more YouTube videos, because that's kind of the direction I want to take this. Just slow down a bit, take my time on each video. And I've been having a lot of fun doing it recently. Anyway, she loves to play fetch. See, she brings it back. Not a question, but we need more Johnny and Gooey videos. Well, I have been toying with the idea of having a second channel because I want to keep this channel mostly food focused, but at the same time, to show a bit more of my life here in Korea, I've been toying with the idea of just starting a second channel where it's just more fun stuff, vloggy type stuff, just other random things I've been wanting to do. So if you think that's a good idea, then let me know as well in the comments. And I'm hoping to get that set up by the end of the month, maybe if it's a good idea, and just start posting there as well. Try and get more content out. What's the biggest thing you've learned in your food journey? Honestly, it's probably just that things aren't as scary as they seem when it comes to cooking or fermenting as well. I think fermenting, a lot of people are quite scared of things when it comes to fermenting, especially the big B word, botulism. I think the statistic is like crazy low for botulism. You've got to be really, really dirty to actually get botulism. And a lot of the things that I do in fermenting, very, very low risk of botulism because of the type of fermenting it is. If you are canning, that's a different story. If you're canning, there's a bit higher risk for botulism, but I don't touch canning because I don't really need to do a canning. I have no desire to do canning. Can I put cheong in my club soda as flavoring? Depends what the cheong is. If you're using a fruit that has a very strong flavor, for example, unripe plums, then it's a great cheong syrup to use in soda because it's so strong, but some cheongs, if you use fruit that have a very mild, light flavor, by the time you add enough syrup for there to be any fruity flavor, the drink is so sweet that it's not pleasant at all. Which cheong would you recommend for a first timer? Honestly, lemon cheong is a really easy, good one. And because it's so acidic, there's very little chance for it to go bad. But just lemons are easy. It makes a good cheong that you can use for a lot of things because it's just like a sour, sweet syrup. It's very nice. So lemon cheong, that's a good one. Make sure you do scrub the rind on the outside of lemon though. What's your 2 top advice for growing a channel? That's a tough one because I kind of got lucky. And a lot of people say this, but it's true. You just get lucky. My first video went viral. Well, not super viral, went a little bit viral. Then I just made another one. That one did well. I just kept doing it. And then for the past 4 years, I've kind of been on like a rough schedule where it's about 2 to 3 videos a week. And I've been doing that for a long time with like little breaks here and there. My desire, I do want to take that sort of discipline and move that to YouTube now. It's just like YouTube videos are a lot more work. I can pump out a short video pretty quickly now at this point. YouTube videos are a whole different story, which I'm working on now. But top 2 advice is just keep posting, keep uploading, and yeah, just niche down. Like I've worked myself into this niche of fermentation, and ever since I've kind of moved into that niche with fermentation, my videos have just been blowing up. Like I don't think there's really many other people, if not any, doing this, what I'm doing. Hi, Gooey. Will you host dinners or events where we can interact with you? I'll fly from South Africa. You know what? It sounds fun. I would like to do it. But then again, I've had some friends who've done stuff like that and it's been kind of a mess. Like maybe in small groups of people I can trust, and I'd have to put something there, like an incentive for people. Only the people that really want to do it can come do it. Maybe a little pay behind it, but I'm not too sure just yet if I want to do it just yet. Maybe once I'm a bit more established here in Seoul. Because of course I'd have to do it here in Seoul. I wouldn't be able to do it down in Goseong where I usually stay because it's just so difficult to do for anyone to get down there unless you have a car. Keeping a ginger bug alive and going while also using it. After I'm done using my ginger bug, I just put it in the fridge. That's all I do. When I need to use it again, I just take it out the fridge, let it warm up to room temperature, add some sugar, and then it kind of just reactivates. And it's worked so well for me recently. Every single ginger bug video I've made recently has just been with that one ginger bug, which I made last year, has just kept going by keeping in the fridge. Thoughts on marriage? Yeah. Open to it. What's your favorite type of kimchi? My favorite type of kimchi is from one specific restaurant here in Seoul. It's called Myeongdong Gyoja. They're a really famous kalguksu noodle restaurant here in Seoul, but they just have the best kimchi. It's like not a fermented kimchi. It's like a fresh kimchi, but it's just so good and garlicky and strong and spicy. It's really, really good. I can eat so much of that. Is Gooey interested in human food? Gooey does not touch anything human. In fact, she just eats her kibble. Like I try to feed her. She likes wet cat food. But every time I've tried to give her just like a piece of raw, completely raw, unseasoned beef, even the really good stuff, she does not want to touch it. She doesn't want to touch any like raw fish either, raw chicken. She doesn't touch anything. She only likes the stuff made for cats, which is great because I can just kind of leave stuff out. She won't touch it. How big is the farm? You're referring to my parents' farm. Well, a couple years ago, I made a video about the farm, which I can find and put up here, but it's not huge because farms in Korea aren't that big, especially if you're not like a real farmer. My parents kind of just bought the farm as like a hobby during COVID. Now they still own the farm, but someone else takes care of it and they like rent it out to someone. They take care of it. They harvest all the fruit and they sell the fruit for their profit. We only really take care of the greenhouse now, which right now my dad takes care of it. My dad's in England for a month or two, so the greenhouse has kind of been put into like hibernation. But as soon as he gets back, it's going to be probably planting all the winter crops. So maybe I can catch some of that too for videos. Is kimchi a pickle or a ferment? Kimchi is a ferment, not a pickle. If it's a pickle, then you're using vinegar to preserve it, and kimchi is not that. Kimchi is just adding a bit of salt and let it natural process of fermentation turn it acidic and preserve it. So it's a ferment. Have you done a collab with a coffee content creator? If not, when? No, I have not. I would like to, but I don't really know any coffee content creators, at least here in Seoul, that I can reach out to do a collab. On top of that, I'm not too sure what we'd collab on. If I were to end up in a country where they produce coffee, that would be fun to see how coffee is made. But until I go to one of those countries and get in touch with someone, I don't really know yet, unless there's a whole, someone wants to sponsor it. Then I'll be happy. What's your least favorite part of Korean cuisine? I want to say it's most like a recent trend is just putting cream and cheese in things and calling it like cream, at least calling it rosé, where it's just a Korean dish, a spicy Korean dish, they put cream in it, call it rosé because it comes out pink. I'm not a fan of those. And then especially cheese on food in Korea, because the cheese they use is just tasteless mozzarella cheese that just becomes really stretchy, but there is literally no taste to it. Maybe if it was like a good quality like cheddar cheese or something like that, it would be a lot better, but just putting cheese and cream on Korean foods is the one thing I just can't get behind right now. Have you ever visited New York City? No, I have not. I do want to go though. How do I sanitize my bottles if I don't have the spray sanitizing thing? Well, really you should be, it says you've tried boiling but failed, but really that's the only other way I can think of, because bottles have bits of plastic on them, bits of rubber, and you could put them in the oven, but then all that stuff might burn or melt or get damaged. So boiling is really the only way. If you can get rubbing alcohol, like medical grade rubbing alcohol, and spritz the inside of the bottles, that's another good way to do it. That's kind of what I do. You can buy that online, or if you can buy them in pharmacies. In Korea, I buy them in pharmacies because I can get them really cheap here. That's one of the other ways I do it. What got you into fermentation? Do you have a background in food science? I do not have a background in anything food other than I just did it myself at home. I've never studied it, never been to culinary school, never done any of that, just from cooking at home. And fermentation specifically, I kind of worked my way into that through these videos by dabbling in some fermentation content and it just doing so well, doing more of it. Although I will say I did study biology in high school at like a higher level, so I do have a pretty good understanding of how everything works. Really, it's just from making videos and figuring out what works best and what's more fun. Because in the end, when I make my videos, I kind of do what I want to do, what I find fun, and fermentation is one of the things I find fun and what I want to do. And it seems like a lot of people agree with that. How's being a cat dad in Korea? Is pet healthcare big? It's great to have a cat, but in terms of like how things are here, there's a ton of vets around us. That's no problem. Healthcare is not a problem in Korea because it's also not crazy expensive. Gooey had her vaccinations and her spaying done, and I'd say in total that maybe cost $500, just the one-time thing. And then every year she does have to get boosters, but those boosters will only be like $50 a year. That's not bad. Cat litter, cat food, I want to say that's kind of just the same price as anywhere else. You can get everything you need to raise a cat online now, so I just do that. The most difficult thing is if you're trying to find somewhere to move into, a lot of places are not really cat friendly or dog friendly because they kind of think that if you have a cat in an apartment, they're just going to tear everything up. And the only damage Gooey has done here is a tiny little bite mark right here on this wall here, which is barely anything. And this wallpaper we can just replace super easily. It's kind of a normal thing in Korea to just replace wallpaper whenever you move into a new apartment. So she really hasn't done any damage, but I'd say landlords and cats are the most difficult thing because they also think they smell a lot, but Gooey does not smell at all. She's taking a shit right now, and I'm not going to smell that because she covers up really well. She's really tidy. My parents live in Goseong near you, and I loved the GS Market video. What made you move? So I live in Gojedo, and Goseong is maybe 30 minutes away by car. So I've been through there a bunch of times. I moved to Gojedo, number one, there specifically because that's where my parents live. I make videos down there, they do really well, and I kind of like being away from the big hustle and bustle of the city, away from people. I kind of like that, so that's kind of why I moved there. But mostly there because of my parents. And I don't need to be really in a city. I just work from home. I make my videos from home, so that's like perfect for me. This kind of leads on to the next one. Is it okay to travel to the countryside of South Korea not speaking much of the language? If you can figure out a way to do it, that's fine. I mean, no one's going to hate you in the countryside. The language barrier is a thing, but then if you've got a phone with a translator, you can get away with a lot of things. And then even in the countryside, a lot of signs and stuff would be in English as well. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't really know. Maybe in another country. Maybe still making videos, maybe doing something else. Who knows if I'm going to keep doing these videos for that long. I don't really plan that far ahead. I think I'm going to leave it at that many questions. I didn't get a super crazy amount of questions, but if you do have a couple more questions, you can ask them in the comments as well, and I'll answer some questions down there. But for now, thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for 700,000. And maybe at 800,000, I'll do another Q&A. And then at 1 million, who knows what I'll do for 1 million, hoping to get 1 million hopefully sooner than later. Hope you enjoyed my Q&A video. And let me know what you think about second channel.
Say goodbye, Gooey. Say goodbye, Gooey. Say goodbye.